Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's Cowboy Mike with the Cowboy Mike Poker Log, the Cowboy Log. I believe it's number 21. Today I want to talk about GTO and whether or not you can literally have too many GTO players at your table in a tournament. I was at Borgata recently in the 500 Almighty Stack, and I literally had 5 players at my table who were all playing GTO. So one guy would raise in position, with Jack 9 suited. Another guy would defend in the hijack with Queen 8. And another guy would defend on the button with Ace 5 suited, whatever. But I think sometimes we can have too many players at the table that are playing the same style. And that defeats the purpose, I believe, of playing GTO. And if you're not accustomed to GTO, game theory optimal, then you should learn it so you can defend against it. I mean, we used to have, before GTO was even thought of or even mentioned, it used to be loose aggressive, tight aggressive, ABC poker, and then GTO came into play mainly from the internet. I believe it was created. I'm not 100% sure on that, so whoever wants to Google that and comment on the YouTube, feel free. But again, when you sit down at the table, you got a bunch of young guys, you got maybe 4 or 5 older guys, and maybe some middle-aged guys. So what is the frequency of the older guys at the table, say over 50, that really study? What is the frequency of the older poker players, men and women at the table in their 60s or 70s that consistently study? So you figure the ratio is probably a lot less with the older generation than it is with the younger generation, because the younger generation obviously is all over YouTube and the internet, researching, watching hands, things like that, practicing, playing online. So you have to learn to defend against all players at your table when you sit down at the table. So when I sit down at the table, I do what I call a poker investigation. I size up the players at the table, determine what style of play that they're playing. Usually it takes about 30-45 minutes to figure out the players at the table so you can defend against them. The best offense is a good defense. So you need to prepare. I know a lot of people just sit down at the table, they play their cards, they don't even look at the flop or look at the combination of cards that could be out on the flop, and they just play their aces or play their kings, and that's why they get them cracked. Because they don't understand that when you have aces and there's an 8, 9, 10 board, there's a couple of straights out there, possibly a flush draw if there's 2 suited cards, and they continue to get their aces cracked and complain about it because they did not play their aces properly. Because if there's a raise there on the flop, then you should just let the aces go in most cases, unless you're holding the suit that's on the board with the ace in your hand, then you should continue. But if there is a coordinated flop with 3 different suits that you don't hold one of the aces on the board, and it's pretty coordinated with possible straight and flush, and there's 3 callers, then you just got to let go of your aces most of the time, or your kings for that matter. Calling off your stack with pocket aces, pocket kings, or pocket queens early in the tournament when you only have 1 pair is not GTO. It's not game theory optimal, basically. It's not something that you can continuously do and win at this game. So that's one subject I wanted to cover on that. Again, when you have players at the table who are in the 20 to let's say 35 age range, again, what is the frequency of study that those players are putting into time to study the game? That's what you have to look at when you're an ABC player, or you're a tight aggressive, or you're a loose aggressive. You have to look at all the factors of the players at the table, and what their mindset is, and how they play their game. And you can tell pretty quickly from their raising in the cutoff and the hijack and the button position on what their range is by seeing the cards they play. And when you develop a sense of their ranges, then you can defend that range and also re-raise from out of position with less acceptable hands that would be, worse than theirs, but you can get a fold from them. I'm talking like if you have, 7-8 suited and you're in middle position and the cutoff raises, 3x, and there's a call and a call, it's okay to 3-bet or 4-bet that, because of the fact their range is probably Queen Jack, Jack 10, Jack 9, and they're going to fold to a raise there in most cases, because you could have pocket kings, pocket queens, pocket aces, pocket jacks, even pocket 8s or pocket 9s, or you could have ace jack, ace queen, ace king out of position to make that big raise. And a lot of times you can make them fold and pick up the pot if you're playing against a GTO player, because they're taught that if there's a re-raise, obviously in learning GTO, then they should fold on certain frequencies of betting. And if you're an older guy or lady, like me, an older guy, and you throw out a 3 or 4 bet there, they have to put you on a bigger hand in most cases, because they're not putting you on pocket 6s or pocket 7s or pocket 5s or pocket 4s with a 3 or 4 bet. So that's just some information that you can put into your arsenal of poker. If you don't agree with me, that's fine. You're free to comment on that, but it's just something that I thought I would throw out there. Don't sit down at the table without sizing up your opponents. Is the main thing. Size up your opponents well enough to understand how they play. And you can usually figure it out in the first 30 minutes to 45 minutes on how they play and how you're going to play against them. Sometimes you're wrong, but in life sometimes we're wrong. So I just wanted to get that one out there and get some feedback on that. And that's it. I heard Mohegan is having another big event in June, by the way. Borgata is still going on. There's another week down there for Borgata in New Jersey, Atlantic City. I only wish that they maybe did something different with the Almighty and maybe started it earlier, so they could at least play to the money, because it's kind of tough when you're in level 16 and you only got 14 big blinds and you have to make a decision to put it all in, because you don't want to come back and be 300 away from the money, and if you double up you might have a chance. So it's a great event, don't get me wrong. The 500 Almighty is a great event. First place was $214,000. But if you look at the people who in the top 15, there weren't many who had a multiple or a lot of big cashes in the top 15 of that event. So we get a lot of new players that are cashing in those events. And one of the players had said something about his aggression. He was very aggressive, and aggression is important in this game, but also sitting back when you have enough of chips to maintain, to make the day two, or to make, to continue on, is also very important. I see so many players that get a big stack and then they piss their chips away because they think that they want to bully the table, or they want to raise with any ace on the button or any suited king on the button. And to me, this is the wrong mindset. I mean, yes, you want to win the tournament, but at the same time, if you get a lot of chips and you've got a huge chip stack, then you should sit on that chip stack until you get premium hands, or, you know, at least knock out the smaller stacks, and don't target the medium to big stacks, because that's a good way to lose your chips as well. So anyway, I think the satellites are continuing at Boxwoods for one more week, I believe. There's 2 Thursday nights and a Sunday, because I think next week they don't have a Sunday because of Mother's Day. And then we have, of course, the fall. Borgata is putting together another fall open, which should be bigger than the spring open. So that, I don't think they're doing a summer open because of the main event in Vegas. And I have no word on Bally's at this time. I have no new information on Bally's, so it's status quo as far as I know. If anybody knows something different, please feel free to post it. Appreciate all the subscribers and all the love I've been getting. I've been going to different casinos, and people come up to me and tell me that, you know, yo, Cowboy Mike, I follow your blog, and I really appreciate it, because when we started this thing about probably less than a year ago, I did not expect to have, 92 plus subscribers right now. So I'm going to try and put some good content together as well, and some subjects that, ask the hard questions in poker. So just a little bit longer than I expected it to be, but I wanted to get the information out there. Have a good day.